After what was likely Paul's contribution of his own letter collection to the Canon, what were the specific stages in the making of the Canon? There were two aspects to the next stage, one positive, one negative. Initially, what we find is that certain works were repeatedly called on by early church writers. Works we now find in the Canon were not yet canonized, but they were quoted or alluded to as authoritative works. In the group called the Apostolic Fathers, whose works are from the late 1st to early 2nd century, these works are all cited or alluded to. What about the other 6? Well, except for this one, all of the books are so short that it's possible that there was never any need to refer to them, especially in light of the fact that the total extant works of the Apostolic Fathers fits a volume about the same size of the New Testament. So it would have been very surprising if we had had quotes to all 27 New Testament books at this early date. In contrast, it should be noted that none of the non-canonical works of the New Testament are recognized or quoted as authoritative in this stage. We do have several quotations that were evidently preserved by means of oral tradition, but none that appear uniquely in the non-canonical works. Quotation and allusion reflected the positive development in the formation of the Canon. In contrast, a negative influence was that of heretics who tried to add their own works into the mix. Heretics motivated the church to identify, and eventually canonize, the true works of the apostles. Probably the most important of the heretics was this fellow, Marcion. Marcion's basic idea was that the God of the Old Testament was incompatible with the Jesus of the New Testament, and he sought to sever the connection between them. To this end, Marcion went through the Pauline epistles, choosing only some of them, and removing anything he didn't think was authentic. He also gutted the Gospel of Luke, accepting only about 3/4 of it as authentic. Now, some things should be noted here. First of all, it's obvious that a collection of Paul's epistles existed at the time for Marcion to pick apart. This would be in accord with what we said in our prior vid about Paul having a fixed letter collection. Second, Marcion appealed to the authority of the writings of the Apostle Paul. Even though he conformed the text to his own ideas, he clearly realized that only with apostolic authority could his ideas get anywhere. This shows that the criterion of apostolic authority was already established by his time. A third point is that Marcion was a very wealthy man, but in spite of this he obviously wasn't able to force his way into the Canon. The next time you hear the excuse that the Canon was decided based on power or money, you can say that if that were the case, we'd have Marcion's Canon today, not the one we have now. There were a few other heretics who were negative influences on the Canon, but we'll close out this series next time with a look at the final stage of the New Testament Canon process.